Okay, welcome to our membership session. I'd like to introduce, I am past District Governor Mike Dara, and the other co-chair for membership is
Hi, I'm Catherine Battenhorst
from
Rotary Club of St. Augustine.
and I'm from South Jacksonville. Today, we're going to have two membership sessions on this channel, back to back. The first one is going to be a panel of 4 of our most successful Rotary clubs. They will tell you what it was that they did that made the difference. Each of them will speak for about 3 to 4 minutes. And in between, we'll take one question. We have someone monitoring your chat. The second session will be about hybrid clubs. And both of these were requests from your membership chairs when we had a conference call about 3 weeks ago. And we asked them, what are the things your clubs want to know about? There will be 2 other subjects that each one of the folks may address, and that is, how do you do a socially distanced and safe social, and how do you do a safe service event? So, Catherine?
All righty, but in this first membership seminar, we're going to talk about the clubs that are specifically represented. How did they grow their impact? They'll give you 2 or 3 key ideas that they've implemented. Most of these ideas have been in the works for a few years, so the leaders before these folks had these things growing and going. We'd also like for you all to share your ideas and share your questions, and we'll be saving the chat so that you can refer back to it later. So we'll go ahead and get started with those folks.
First thing, if you would, to test chat. Some of you have not used chat perhaps before. It is down. There's a chat button on the bottom of your screen, or if you have an iPad, touch the screen and you should be able to see something about chat on there. Fill in that screen, the little window where you enter in information. Put your name and put where your club is, if you would, please. We have someone monitoring the chat to let us know things. So let me know when you see a number of entries on there, Jeff, if you would.
Jeff is our official CM chat monitor.
Hard to hear my microphone. Okay, then I'll get it closer here. How's it? So I'm going to introduce our 4 panelists today.
Hey, Mike, we can't hear you.
There we go. Okay. So you have not heard me the entire time. I apologize for that, or you heard a poor echo. So the folks, I will repeat again, Jim Agee from Jacksonville will be talking. It's a club of 231 members, great retention. And also, I should mention, Jim may mention this, but they increased their attendance at meetings substantially, even during COVID. So Crescent City is the next one. Lucia Valdivia Sanchez will talk to you. They've done some really creative things. Next will be Roseanne Stalker from Flagler Beach, a club of 56 members. Bartram Trail is the last one. Gary Williams will talk to you. It's a club of 37 that about 8 years ago was a club of 18. So not taking any extra time, let us go ahead and bring up Jim Agee.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the introduction, Mike. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "Guard your spare moments. They're like uncut diamonds. Discard them and their value will never be known. Improve them and they become the brightest gems in a useful life." In other words, do not waste your most valuable resource, time. So I'm going to start with the most important thing I have to say. Do not waste your members' time. And I will try not to waste yours now. Mike Dara wisely asked me to stick to sharing just 3 main points that make the Rotary Club of Jacksonville a vibrant club. So here they are. We do surveys. We have a manual of policy and procedures that we actually follow and use. And we connect with our members. Colonel John Boyd was a fighter pilot that was instrumental in starting the U.S. Air Force Fighter Weapons School, Top Gun for you Navy and Maverick and Goose fans. He taught us a concept called the ODA loop: observe, decide, act, analyze, and repeat. After all, it is a loop. Observe. This is your surveys. They can be formal and complex. We in the Rotary Club of Jacksonville use the Rotary International website survey every 2 years, or they can be word of mouth. Just ask your members what they want while you're eating lunch with them. The results of our surveys consistently say our members want opportunities for professional networking, making a difference in our community, and friendship. Decide. This is where your team comes up with a plan, and your core team members are your leaders, your club president, your program public image chair, your foundation chair, and your membership chair. Our blueprint is our manual of policy and procedures. It gives us continuity, keeps us on track, and reminds us of our lessons learned. This way, each new president and his team does not have to make the same mistakes made by the previous team. Act. The core event that we focus everything on is our program at our Monday luncheon. This is where we deliver what our members want. The program may be an opportunity to hear a speaker's message, engage with that speaker after the program, or have an opportunity to invite someone as a guest with whom they wish to develop a professional relationship. Most of our programs focus on our club's strategic goal of improving the quality of the health and education in Jacksonville. This gives our members an opportunity to discover the needs in our community so that we can give direction to our foundation or reinforce the good we have already done with our grants and community involvement. Finally, fun and interesting programs are an opportunity for fellowship before and after the luncheons. Analyze. How did it go? If a member or members are not showing up for the luncheons, then call and find out why and fix it. Our call and care protocols are centered on our committee chairs. That's a secondary reason why we strive to have every member in our club on a committee. The primary reason is committee membership results in engagement with and commitment to our club. I want to close by stressing the importance of choosing energetic leaders for your membership committee. I am the membership committee chair for the Rotary Club of Jacksonville, but I have 4 subcommittee chairs that are invaluable to me. They're Harrison Frazier, Development, Carter Funk, Vetting, Shelby Dorsey, Orientation, and Jenny Jett, Retention. We all work together to identify a potential member, make sure they will be a good fit in our Rotary Club, get them comfortable with the way we operate, and mentor them so the precious time they give us benefits the member and our Rotary Club. Thank you for the time, Mike. Back to you.
So, thank you, Jim. Now, is there a quick question on this, Jeff, for Jim? And by the way, folks in the audience, we're planning for you to share your ideas by putting them into chat. If something resonates with you, the whole purpose of this is for you all to be stimulated and put, I did something similar to that, write it in chat so that we will share that chat and show you how to save that at the end of the speech of this session, so you can save all of that and have it for later on for yourself and for sharing in your club. So I know we've got somebody that traveled all the way from DeLand today and someone else that traveled all the way from New Smyrna Beach. So I appreciate those of you who identified that on chat. That was an outstanding, traveling all the way here must have been at least, 2 minutes? So thank you. So our next speaker is Lucy Valdivia Sanchez from Crescent City. Lucia.
Good morning, everybody. I am representing the Club of Crescent City, and some of the things that we established to make our club more vibrant was that we established a process to recruit and invite our guest speakers so they could bring value to our meetings. We ask our members what is it that they want to know about or what would make our meeting more meaningful and interesting. And then we take advantage of our network, our professional networks, and invite them as guests. I have to say that COVID has been both a blessing and a barrier. We are in a remote area, and before COVID, we had a little bit of difficult time inviting prominent guests to come over and join us in our remote area. However, we started doing hybrid meetings, and then when COVID hit us, we decided to just go ahead and take advantage of the situation. So as the person responsible for inviting the guests, I decided to expand our horizons, and we have hosted guests from Rotary Clubs of Mexico and to share our programs and what we have in common with our in our communities. I also invited a diplomat. I extended the invitation, the Consul of Mexico in Orlando, and he decided to agree and join us for a small little meeting. It was very informative because our club members were able to ask specific questions about how Mexico was handling the pandemic, and then what things we had in similar. We also involved all of our club members in revision of our bylaws, and then some of our newer members, we noticed that we had a lot of richness and wealth and history in our little club. So we started the archival project where we are documenting all of the great things that our club has done in the past. And then we're using that to spring us into the future and make our club more vibrant. So we are respecting and acknowledging, honoring the richness and tradition that our club has. And we're using that as a stepping stool to continue to grow. We also created the Facebook page and an Instagram, and we started telling our members how to make it more interactive, because they were so happy to see the pictures and things about the meeting, but some of them did not know how to let us know that they had seen it. So we do special sessions on how to let us know, just like it, share it, and promote with the great things that we are doing. So this has been a strategic plan. We are planning, we are acknowledging our past, and then we're moving into the future and taking advantage of the current pandemic and inviting guests from national organizations as well as government officials and people from abroad to join us. And that really has sparked the interest. Another thing that we have done to make sure that our members are included is we send the invitation on a Friday afternoon with the bio of the guest speaker and their picture to make it attractive. And then we send a reminder again on Sunday morning. So when members are checking their email before they go to church or something. And then the last time that they get a reminder about the meeting is right at 5:30 Tuesday afternoon, because our meeting is at 6. And we did notice that some of our members were losing the link before the meeting. So in order to make sure that they are engaged, we just programmed the emails to go out and reach them right at 5:30. So when they're getting ready to join our meeting, 10-15 minutes later, the link is readily available on their in their last emails. And that is all that we have done. And back to you.
Thank you, Lucia. Are we on? Okay. Are we on now? Okay, I've turned it back on. Okay, can I have the other mic, Jeff? All right, let's see.
Mike, that's good. Mike, that's good.
You're hearing it out there? You're hearing it out there, Art, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. I will try it. Thank you for, hey, here's a quick message for y'all. And this deals with the hybrid club. If you don't have somebody monitoring the chat in your hybrid club, the quality of what's going on in that chat channel, in that Zoom channel, is not very good. And you want to have a great program for everybody. That's one of the things we'll cover. So that's a little pre-advertising. And thank you for y'all letting us know what the problem was, and Art in specific for saying I was blasting away. Once I turned on, I was overcompensating. So thank you. So our next speaker will be from Flagler Beach, Roseanne Stocker. Tell us about Flagler Beach and the Bunnell satellite.
Thank you, Mike. It's just an honor to be here and tell you what's going on in the Rotary Club of Flagler Beach. If you've been to one of our meetings, you know that we have a very vibrant, fun club that is very engaged in service projects. But Mike asked me to talk specifically today about how we created a satellite club and why we did that. And maybe some of you will be inspired to do the same in your area. So a satellite club is all about growing Rotary by offering an alternative to what's already available. And I think some of you may have heard Holger Knock talk about every challenge being an opportunity, and that's what we did in Flagler Beach. So the challenge was that there were 3 Rotary clubs in Flagler County, very traditional Rotary clubs, a breakfast club, a lunch club, and a sunset club. All 3 were meeting on the east side of the county, and there wasn't really true representation of what was of the west side. Now, we did service projects over on the west side in the Bunnell area, but the members of our club were not representative of that community. So yes, we built multi-sport fields in Bunnell. We put in a path of exercise equipment around those fields. We did food distributions. We were swim lessons, surf lessons. We installed mailboxes, all kinds of service projects. But the community leaders in Bunnell were not Rotarians. So that was the challenge. So along came the opportunity of forming a Bunnell club in the form of one of our members, Tim O'Donnell. It was his idea. He came to the board and he talked about making this satellite club, and a lot of us had never heard of a satellite club. So satellite clubs offer all the benefits of Rotary, but usually less of a time commitment and less of a financial commitment. And that's the way we went about it. We launched the Bunnell Satellite Club to meet only 2 times a month and not require a meal. So it was just a less of a time commitment, and you could have people that perhaps couldn't afford to be in Rotary join the Satellite Club. So who did we ask? We asked the people to join the Satellite Club who were exactly the people that we had gone to when we wanted to do these service projects. So it was the city manager, different ministers in the community, the chair of Habitat for Humanity, a fireman, the Housing Coalition director, the people that we had met through our service projects, and we convinced 8 people to become the charter members of the Bunnell Satellite Club. I think the key to success is that the host club has to be really invested in the satellite club. You can't just launch it and then not go. Rotarians from the host club have to commit to going, not always the same people, but especially during that first year, just to inspire the new Rotarians and energize that club. Because if it's a small satellite club, attendance can vary, especially in the beginning. And the benefits are that you are growing Rotary, you're getting to know your community leaders better, and that Rotary truly represents the communities that we are serving. So we managed to get much younger members in Bunnell and a lot more diversity. So that's really the future of Rotary. And a benefit I can talk about personally is that when I go to the Bunnell Satellite Club meetings, I get so energized by these 20-something-year-olds who are suddenly now interested in Rotary, a lot of social justice issues. At last week's meeting, there was a young woman who's very interested in green energy and sustainable housing, and she's joining the Bunnell Satellite Club. And for me, this is the future of Rotary. Those are the people we need to attract, and we need to just make sure that our Rotary clubs truly represent the community, that we're not just going into these communities, doing service projects and leaving. The future Rotarians are those community members. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Back to you, Mike.
Okay, you got me on?
Yes.
All right. Is this coming through? Roseanne, is there a way we could put Roseanne on real quickly here one more time? And while we're getting Roseanne on the screen, I want to ask a question. We're monitoring everybody. Give me a thumbs up if the sound is good on your end. I've gotten feedback that it's bad. I've gotten feedback that it's good. So here's another great thing for your hybrid club. Always have a monitor. He just said we got thumbs up, and then I'm holding it in the right place to not get overload. Thank you. Roseanne, question for you. We were asked, what is the difference between in fees, cost between the satellite and the Flagler Beach Club?
So the Satellite Club is just paying the dues. There's no meal. So I'd say that it's about a third of what the Flagler Beach dues is.
Okay, so your dues cover both the roughly $80 for Rotary International per year, about $40 for the district, and then you've got some sort of administrative costs, so something on top of that, and that is what they're paying for their fees. That's for the Satellite Club. And then for the traditional club, although Flagler Beach has never been bounded by tradition, but for the more traditional Flagler Beach Club, you also add a food cost into that. Is that correct?
Yeah, food cost, and we encourage our members to be to give the $100 a year to the foundation. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. Going on to the next person. By the way, we have someone that came further than Ocala and New Smyrna Beach. I'm sorry, from DeLand. They're actually from Ocala. So Al Formella, you get the furthest distance that your electrons have had to travel to get to this meeting. So thank you. So from the Bartram Trail Club, a club of 37 members, that, as I said in my introduction, was about 18, I think 8 years ago when I was their assistant governor, and has been building ever since. Gary Williams. Gary?
Hey, Mike, good morning. Thank you. It is really tough following Jim, Lucia, and Roseanne. I'll tell you what, they've got great stories, and I'm not quite sure how to follow up those wonderful things that they do. You know, 3 things that we have, and I'll talk a little bit about each of them. We've got a solid foundation of people that really enjoy being with each other and serving the community. We've got very active and engaging speakers on our schedule, and we've got very well-attended social events and service projects. So thinking of those things, talking to some of the clubs out there that might be a little bit smaller, might be where we were several years ago, that foundation that you're starting now will pay off in 2, 3, and 4 years, because as you continue to hang in there and have good events, you'll attract more and more members, and people will enjoy being with each other. So focus on that solid foundation now. An active, engaging speaker schedule for your meetings is really important. That's the second thing that I would focus on. We have shared speaker schedules with other clubs. If you're interested in our speaker schedule, reach out to me and I can have our speakers coordinator send that out to you. Many of the speakers that we have at Rotary meetings are people that want to get in front of other clubs. Some of those speakers are local businesses and nonprofits that are looking for help. That's a great way to make service projects for you. They could also be people in your local community. So having that really engaging speaker schedule, I think, drives the desire for people to be in attendance at the meetings. And then the last thing I mentioned is well-attended social events and service projects. And I'm going to harken back a little bit to what George said. George mentioned whiskey, which is never a bad thing when you're having a social event. Many of us are bourbon aficionados in our club, and some of our social events and some of our fundraisers have been around pub crawls or bourbon tastings or trivia events or something like that. And Marshall mentioned the benefit of a breakfast club. We are a breakfast club at 7:30 in the morning. And believe it or not, even through all of this COVID stuff, we've had very, very strong attendance. We've probably had 75% plus attendance through COVID in our Zoom meetings. And, building on that, the COVID situation that we've all been in, Lucia mentioned this a little bit too. In some ways, it's been a blessing for us because we've been able to give me grief times like this. We recently started a hybrid version where we've identified a location where we can meet in the morning and have a hybrid version. But what's been really cool is we've been able to bring in via Zoom some of our past international exchange students have come in. We've talked to Rotarians from other clubs. We had a Rotarian on our meeting yesterday from a club in Ireland who's celebrating their 100th year anniversary, and their club members have been challenged to go visit 100 clubs. That was hard before the crisis. With the crisis and Zoom, it's a little bit easier. So those are the things that I would really focus on, especially for the smaller clubs that may be growing and looking to the future. Build your foundation now, develop an active speaker schedule, and focus on social events and service projects that are meaningful to your club members. I think we may be waiting for Mike or Rich to come back up. I'll share one more thing real quick while Mike comes up. One of the things that we've started doing that's been fun lately at our Thursday morning meetings via Zoom is we do 2 truths and a lie. And what we do is we focus on one person and they give us 2 truths and a lie. And we do a poll on Zoom and get people to vote. And it's a great way for people to get to know other people, even when you can't meet in person. So Mike, now I'll give it back to you. I see you at the podium.
Okay, thank you, Gary. And by the way, Gary, thank you for knowing how to run a good meeting, because yes, I was down talking to our chat monitors and you sensed we need to carry on, and you added in a very, very valuable thing there. So I'm going to ask our chat monitors, Catherine Battenhorst or Jeff Michaelman, do we have questions for the panelists?
Yes, Mike. So one of the questions was how were the satellite club members engaged? That Roseanne was mentioning. How did they engage the satellite club members?
So just as good practice, I'm going to go ahead as if this is coming from someone without a microphone so the people on Zoom can hear it. How are the satellite members engaged? So who do you want to direct that to?
That's to Roseanne.
To Roseanne.
Okay, so I just did type an answer to that in the chat, but I will go ahead and say that the type of speaker that speaks at the satellite club is very targeted to that club. So I think that the members are inspired by the speakers, but they're also, the engagement happens because they're able to meet Rotarians that are like more experienced, and they get inspired to know that there are people in the community that are like-minded, that have energy and want to get these things accomplished as well. So that's inspiring. And also, we just applied for a successful grant from the host club, but it was really all about an idea that came from the Bunnell Club. So by our host club, first of all, the members put in a lot of money. We took it out of the club budget. I think for the Bunnell Club members to see how serious we are about supporting them and their ideas and putting our energy behind what they are passionate about, they are inspired and they are engaged. And again, it's not a magic bullet. This really does take time. It takes energy. It's a process over a couple of years. It's a little more work if you're president. I feel that it's really, really worth it though.
Okay. Catherine, I understand there's another point about satellites.
Yes, it was mentioned that they want to just talk about the fact that satellites sometimes actually become clubs. Amelia Island Sunrise started a satellite a few years ago, and they're going to be chartered soon as the Rotary Club of Nassau County. So, but to Roseanne's point again, that you gotta take care of them, and they're a club, part of your club.
I'll mention one other thing, because this can have an impact on membership. Right now, starting this year in January, there is a major effort called the Innovative Club Advocate Program. It's for all across North America. From Georgia to Florida to the Caribbean, that zone has 2 advocates. I am one. The whole reason we are putting that together is we have found that those districts that start new clubs have found ways, just like Roseanne said, to appeal to different groups that might not otherwise be interested in Rotary. You'll hear in our second section, the Northeast Florida Club. They have also found a way to use something similar to that, not exactly a satellite, but they found a way to appeal to a subgroup that wanted something different. They created that, and they had substantial gains. Okay, so do we have any other questions for, I'd like to ask with Jim Agee. Now, with large clubs, we've got a number of large clubs, but Jim, I'd like to come back to you. You mentioned those things that you did long-term to work on strategy. That's, by the way, that's not a gym. but Roseanne, we do enjoy seeing you. We're not, there we go with Jim. Jim, when you all started your strategy effort to figure out who your target audience was, how long ago was that you started?
That was, my sponsor was General John Fryer, who was our superintendent of public schools, Duval County Public Schools. And he started the strategy during his administration. So that was, man, not quite 10 years ago, but somewhere between now and 5 and 10 years ago, laid out this strategy that we were able to implement under Tom Bryan. That's the awards that we got for membership came under Tom Bryan's leadership, of course. And Jerry Kelly, our current president, is just following in his footsteps. So we've had 6 or 7 presidents in a row with the people they choose to be their public image program chairs, their foundation chairs, and their membership chairs stay on that track. So hopefully that answers your question.
So, okay, so we're running, the last clarification I'll make here before we take another 5-minute break. But having followed the Jacksonville Club, I realized at just about the time that Jim was talking about, Jacksonville was in a slow decline. It was by focusing on that, and it took about 3 years to get a turnaround going. And one of their presidents, and it was not just one president, but a series of presidents now with Jared Kelly, that has been what it's taken to keep building on each other and get that slide slowed, stopped, and now the battleship, if you want to use that analogy, the battleship has turned and it's steaming. And I am not sure that we're the best in the zone for large clubs, but we're pretty doggone close with Jacksonville. So if you're not seeing results immediately, it just means keep going. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, refresh that cup of coffee, and then we're going to be back with 5 panelists to talk to you about key things in a hybrid club. Talk to you in a few minutes.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and start. Want to make sure everybody out there can hear us. Can we get a little bit of feedback, some thumbs up? Or getting that?
We got thumbs up?
Excellent.
All right.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Catherine Battenhorst. I am one of the membership co-chairs for District 6970. And this is
Mike Dara. I'm past district governor and, more important, membership co-chair with the incredible Catherine Batten-Horst.
Thank you, Mike. So we are going to be talking today about creating engaging and fun hybrid meetings. Today's goal is we want you guys to engage. We want to engage you, and we want you to engage with everybody else who's here. We're going to share 5 speakers to stimulate your ideas, and we want you to share your experiences, your questions, and when I say experiences, things that have worked really well and things that have perhaps been a challenge and didn't work as well. So we want you to use the chat, and I think you guys have been really, really good about that. If you weren't in our last session, if you would please put your name and your club in the chat now. So we'll go ahead and keep things rolling. I'll turn it over to Mike to tell you a little more about our presentation.
So the key things about any meeting are you have to pay attention to the 2 most important things in Rotary. And I'm going to do a quick mic check for a show of thumbs up, just because I've got a different microphone. Thumbs up if you're hearing it, and if it's clear. Great, thank you. The 2 key things, you've got to connect people. That network of Rotary is crucial. And you have to find ways to engage them so that they're excited about engaging their passions. So what's different about a hybrid than a traditional club? Well, first thing is you have to realize that you have 2 channels. One is a Zoom channel, one is an in-person club channel. And I will be honest, when I've gone to clubs, I have seen a preference for an in-person channel. We on the Zoom channel couldn't hear because there was a microphone in the club that was booming, so we couldn't even talk before the meeting. Things like that. And the killer was when I went to one meeting, when someone turned to the folks on Zoom and said, "We're really looking forward to when you can rejoin the meeting." That is not a hybrid meeting. So paying attention to each one of those channels, as we have tried to do today, and play to the strengths of each channel. Zoom is not a replacement for an in-room meeting. Zoom is its own opportunity to have a great time. How do you know if you've succeeded? Well, one of our speakers that you're going to hear said, "My goal after every meeting was that if they didn't go, they tell their friend, 'I missed the meeting and I really regret it. I don't know who was talking about me now.'" So back to you, and I'm going to go down and monitor the chat.
All right, thank you, Mike. So today we are going to talk with 5 folks who are going to talk about how to connect and how to engage using the hybrid, which is both in person and on a virtual platform. Today, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce all 5 right now so you know who's coming up. We're going to have engagement, making it fun, with Jody Henson from Amelia Island. She's a past president. We're going to have speakers from anywhere, talking about how to get speakers from all over the place. Jenny Van Hart from the Gainesville Club. She's a past president as well as a current assistant governor. We're also going to have Randy Bowman from Orange Park Sunrise. He's current Orange Park Rotaract president and a member of the Orange Park Sunrise Club. He's going to talk about cameras and Zoom connect, not isolate. And we definitely appreciate those tech people. I appreciate tech because it's not my strong suit, but I appreciate all you who are doing that. Thank you. Thank you. We also have Dale Moe, the King of the North, Jacksonville. He's a past president, and he's going to talk about safe service that is fun. And we're going to have our very own marvelous Noni Larson from Fleming Island talking about socials that create a shared experience. They have a shared experience social coming up this evening. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jody Henson. Again, she's from Amelia Island, and she's going to talk about how to make it fun. Jody.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's great to see everyone. One of the things that we wanted to do when we had to go completely Zoom, and then we continued a little bit thereafter, was making sure that we engaged members in things that were about them. And as I mentioned to Mike, you know, we all as basic humans like to hear our names being said, and we like to see our names in writing. So we implemented a fun little game called A Little Known Fact. And we had folks submit little known facts about themselves. And one of our members created a Survey Monkey survey that went out each week with 4 of those little known facts. And there was a multiple choice answer of who was this little known fact about. And it would name 4 or 5 members. And the folks taking the survey got to vote. And every Friday morning at our meetings, we revealed the answers. And of course, we made it a little fun and made it a competition as to who could get the most right answers after a period of 6 or 9 weeks. So everyone got to see their name in lights. They got to submit something interesting about themselves. And more importantly, we learned some very interesting facts about our fellow members and things that are memorable and really a lot of fun. So that was one way that we managed to engage everyone in the club.
Okay, thank you, Jody. And we appreciate you kind of stimulating those ideas. Folks who are out there watching, if you guys have ideas, different things to make meetings fun, to make service fun, please do include that in the chat, and also provide your name and contact information so that other clubs can get in touch with you and benefit from these ideas. There are so many neat and creative ideas to help us have engaging meetings, both in person and via Zoom. So Jody, thank you so much for sharing that. Next, we're going to have Jenny Van Hart from Gainesville talking about how to get speakers from anywhere. Jenny, are you there?
I'm here. Good morning. Well, as you heard, I have several hats, and one of them, foolishly perhaps, was the program chair for this Rotary year. And so Zoom has enabled me to not limit myself or my speakers by geography or time zone. Anyone could be a speaker in our club, and we haven't had to have them personally in the space anymore, and it's been quite freeing and quite exciting to explore. To find my speakers, I basically troll social media, our district's Facebook page, Instagram, whatever, our zone, other clubs. And again, not limiting myself to Florida, I have certainly poached possible speakers from the Bahamas, from the UK, anywhere and everywhere, all around the country as well. And I'm certainly not limiting myself to Rotary organizations. So I follow quite a few other organizations that are interesting and are also passionate about the world. So I can contact them. But the nice thing about a Rotary organization is that you're a Rotarian and they're a Rotarian. So I'm able to reach out to them as Rotarians and just ask them to connect me with their awesome speaker. The worst thing they can do is say no. And I've had very few no's. One poor excuse was that it was like 2 o'clock in the morning their time when I asked them to speak. And I kind of get that. But honestly, we have had speakers from the UK, a couple of speakers from the UK. We've had an American Ninja speak to us from South Carolina. We've had speakers from Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and all over Florida. No one has to come to our meetings, so it's kind of refreshing. Coming up with the rest of the year, we're going to have someone presenting from somewhere between Texas and California. We're not really sure. Amsterdam, North Carolina, Ohio, and who knows? I've still got a few spaces left. I think I have 12 meetings left to fill for the rest of the Rotary year. Our first in-person speaker will be for this Rotary year actually is happening this coming week. So we haven't had a speaker in the room with our members, the 30 or so members who are currently attending in person, to speak in person. And when we're doing it, we have cameras focused on the speaker and as well as the participants. I will, all our Zoom meetings are recorded. So I'm going to post in the chat our YouTube channel. So feel free to, again, troll us go and see who you think would be really good as speakers, and then reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in there as well, so that we can share the joy, and that's really it. It's been fun and certainly freeing. I have been a program chair in the traditional format, and this is way easier. Not having to limit myself to geography at all. So make it fun. That's my last comment.
So Jenny, I'm going to ask you one quick question. You're not hearing me. Can I borrow yours?
Mike, I can barely hear you.
So Jenny, I'm going to ask you one quick question. I noticed from your accent, are you from the southern hemisphere of our district?
The deep South, yes.
Deep South. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, and thank you, Jen. What a great example of how you can join us from anywhere, as most of you are. So this next one, I really like this introduction. Cameras and Zoom connect, not isolate, and that's really what we want to do. So we're going to have Randy Bowman from Orange Park Sunrise. Randy, please share some information with us. Turning it over to you. We can't hear you, Randy. Oh, let's see. You're backing up, checking it out. Well, you're not muted. Your microphone perhaps is not engaged, I'm hearing. Oh, it's. Your dresser is gorgeous behind you. I really like it. You know what we could do, Randy, is come back to you. And we're hearing when in doubt, log out and log back in. But who am I to tell you how to do tech? But how about if we go over to Dale Moe, the King of the North, and we'll come back to Randy. Dale is going to talk to us about safe service that is fun. And Dale is fun just by nature. So there's Dale. Dale, take it away, please.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? All right. Okay, well, thank you. Glad to see everybody this morning. Welcome, and great to be a part of the greatest district in the world, 6970. Some of the projects that the North Jacksonville Rotary Club has worked on, especially during this pandemic and with COVID and everything going on, it's been hard for a lot of clubs to stay engaged and to stay, like we said, we've talked about throughout this conference, is stay relevant. One of the things that we've done is at the North Jacksonville, we're a small club, but we've continually done high impact community projects. As we know, there were a lot of people that were unemployed at the height of the pandemic and sort of the beginning of the pandemic, and that created a number of civic issues such as food and employment and just a bunch of other things. So what we were able to do was find high impact projects. We created hand washing stations. We partnered with Farm Share, and we've done a number of hosting feeding events where we open to the community, and from truck to trunk type things. The thing that we found from these projects were, like I said, they had high community impact, but these are projects that we were able to stay outside. These were projects where we were able to follow the COVID guidelines as far as social distancing from other, wearing masks, having gloves. So we were still able to do high value impact projects to the community and still stay within COVID guidelines and have a direct impact on our community, and showing, most importantly, showing our community what Rotary is all about. So those are the things that we were able to do. Like I said, I can't remember half of them now. Well, we did so many things that we ginned up really quickly that we're able to have a high impact in the community for people to see that, hey, look, Rotary's here and Rotary's is here to help. And right now we're looking at, in the midst of this pandemic, just this month, we're looking at taking in 3 new members, but that's just from the projects that we've done. So some of those people came and joined and helped us and got involved with those community projects, and then they decided to join our club. So, look for high impact projects. A lot of things like I said, we're outside. Okay, we're actually able to go out, and we don't have to worry about being in a confined space around others. And then we're able to easily socially distance and still get the work done and still help the community. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Dale, thank you so much. And I want to say great projects. Mike was talking about putting food in folks' trunk and being able to socially distance and things like that. And those sorts of service opportunities, like you said, Dale, it engages your current club members. It gives an opportunity for folks in your community to say, ooh, those people are having a good time and they're doing good things. I want to be a part of that. And those are the things that we're looking at in membership, not just getting folks that are a good fit for your group, but also engaging them and keeping your Rotary family happy and wanting to continue to be there. So, so holding on to those members by doing exactly what Dale was talking about and what everybody on our panel has been talking about. We're going to go back to Randy, and he's been doing some troubleshooting. So Randy, I'm going to see how things are going.
Randy?
Okay, Randy, we're not hearing you. And this is good exercise in working on. There he is.
All right, finally. Yay. All right. Here I am talking about hybrid meetings and what type of technology to use. And we have tech opportunities. Sorry. So one thing I would like to just kind of correct is that I am now past Rotaract president for Clay County. I know Lauren is listening, and I want to make sure she gets credit for this current presidency. So great job, Lauren and team. All right. So I got a couple of things to just kind of point out, and I'm going to actually put it into the chat box. A Google Doc that everyone can access. In that Google Doc, you're going to find 2 examples of affordable equipment that I recommend you to look into. One's a 360 camera and the other is a 360 microphone. Keyword is 360. You want to be able to capture the room in its entirety, so the individual via Zoom can have a crisp, clear environment, and they can actually feel like they're in the room, and that they're just not, the camera's just not pointing on the speaker at all time. You can actually Zoom the entire room where they can kind of get the feeling of who's there and feel like they're part of it. The other part of that in the side of Google Docs is going to be 10 steps that I recommend. And I'm going to focus on 3 of the 10 right now. Step 2, you need to find a team. Select a team. You can call them a hybrid tech team, whatever kind of creative name you want, but they need to be the responsible party to conduct the Zoom meeting. They need to be stationed at the computer at all time during the meeting so they can control the 360 camera, ensure that the individuals via Zoom are getting a clear, crisp meeting. If there's any issues with the microphone, you can react to it. They can respond to the chat line. They can interact with the Zoom participant. They can conduct polls, and they can provide a couple of links where the individuals can participate in Happy Dollar. And additionally, they need to make sure their meetings are being recorded. So one, they can go back and kind of correct any opportunity after listening to it that needs to be for the next meeting. Also, you can send it out to the club, and those members who weren't able to participate or be part of the meeting that day can go back and be part of it. Very critical. The other thing is to ensure that you're buying the equipment to the Wi-Fi bandwidth within your room. So understanding what your Wi-Fi in the meeting room bandwidth is critical, because you want to make sure you get the right equipment, and getting the right equipment to fit those opportunities or the needs of that Wi-Fi bandwidth are very critical. And third, you got to have a committed team to actually go back and constantly send out reminders about Zoom. Work with your program chair and work with your membership chair to make sure everyone's having an amazing experience. That's kind of like my 2 cents. Apologies for all of the hiccups this morning, but I'll throw in the Google Doc. If you have any questions or any suggestions additionally to what we're doing, I'll throw in my cell number where people can reach out as well. Thanks for having me this morning.
Randy, can you hear me on this, Randy?
I can.
What was it you had to do in order for your audio to come in?
So I logged in on via Zoom on my phone as well as my computer. And so I had my computer unmuted and my phone muted. So I just had to change the mute button.
Okay, so it's good to know that even somebody who knows how to solve massive issues with Zoom can still not find the mute button.
Absolutely.
I feel so much better. And that's
All right.
almost like not finding the on switch for a microphone. Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome. Bye.
So I've got a question, and it is a technical question. We also have Marshall Butler on the phone with us. Randy, a quick question for you. How do you avoid Zoom bombing? And I can just say, I have experienced it where someone came on, it was white supremacists came on when we had a speaker who was an African-American with her doctorate in a certain area. Within 1 minute of her starting, it was awful. They grabbed hold of the screen, they started cursing, they started throwing out all sorts of things. And at that time, we didn't think of locking the room or anything, we just shut down. And so
that was the best.
How can we avoid those situations though?
You got to make it as secure as possible, providing passcode and making sure your Zoom attendees enter through a waiting room. And so no one can enter unless the person sitting at the control panel admits you. And so that's one thing that we do in our club. We did not do that at the beginning. And then we were told about this experience. So everyone enters through a waiting room. We have to be a minute to be entered. And so sometimes there's a delay depending on if we're in the middle of the 4-way test or the prayer or the pledge. Other than that, we try to pre-screen them before we allow them into the room.
Marshall Butler, could you also come on and give us, I saw that you put in your tips, which are really good tips. We're hoping that getting the background information in this meeting today would allow people to look at those tips. I'm not sure if you can come on and talk to us, give us any further information about whether it's Zoom bombing or 1 or 2 crucial tips, since you've been doing this on the zone level as well.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is it's an evolution, and it may not be perfect the first time you do it, but you continue to improve and add equipment or experience. West Jacks Rotary, we've been doing it a couple of times, and every time we learn some new tips and tricks. And I think Randy did a great job highlighting a lot of those. But one of the most important things is, people they'll give you a pass on bad video quality. They will never give you a pass on bad audio. No one's going to stick around to listen to choppy static. And so audio is the most important thing. So always be very cognizant of a good audio experience. The other thing is making sure that you provide context for the folks that aren't there. You can have the one camera pointing at the front of the room, the podium, but maybe you have another camera pointing the other way. Mike, I know in South Jacks Rotary, you guys are using a phone on a podium. And I think that's a really easy way to do it, is get a tripod with a phone mount and just use someone's cell phone and log into the Zoom meeting and point it back to the room so people get that different perspective of what's going on in the room. And that's a really easy way, whoever's controlling Zoom, to flip back and forth between the speaker, what's going on at the podium, and then, hey, look at that. That works. Yeah, I know there's all sorts of high-tech fancy equipment in that room right now. But like I said, the key is just go ahead and get started, add equipment, add different pieces until you get that right mix. And it's going to be different. I mean, small clubs, large clubs, everyone's going to have a different budget, but just put together a plan. And that streaming guide does have a couple of different setups. One that's a very basic one that's a little more complex, and then one that's pretty advanced. So yeah, just follow that guide. For Zoom bombing, yeah, the key is do not, I'm a public image guy. I love to spread the news of Rotary and tell folks, about Rotary, but don't put your Zoom links on those pieces that are going out to the world, because that's where people find those links. And if you don't have the waiting room, or I've seen people put the Zoom link and the password in a public image post on Facebook. you just gave it away. You're opening yourself up for some pretty nefarious behavior if you do that. So make sure you know who is getting those Zoom links and control that. And I guess if you have perhaps people that want to visit your club, have a method for them to let you know who they are, if they are a legitimate visitor to your club, to get them out of the waiting room. But no, it's exciting. It's exciting to see the new hybrid world, and it just creates great opportunities for us to allow folks to visit and engage, and people that may not be able to participate because they're out of town or work-life balance, or maybe not feeling well, we can still attend our Rotary meetings. So I think that's a fantastic benefit of what's going on right now.
Well, thank you so much, Marshall, and thank you, Randy. The technology piece, of course, is huge, but thanks for sharing some lower tech options just with using an iPhone, or some of those higher tech options to hit all different levels of capability and financial capability. So the last person that we have to talk today is socials that create a shared experience, and we have our very own Noni Larson. So she's here to my right. I'm going to hand her the microphone.
Thank you, Catherine. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about something we've done with the Rotary Club of Fleming Island. As you know, we're all a breakfast club, but we kind of like to drink things too. So you come to our meeting, sometimes we occasionally have champagne. Anyhow, my husband and I are members of the wine club at the yacht club. And when the COVID started, we started having our wine club do things virtually. We'd go pick up our wine, and then we'd have the wine member out there discussing it, and we did all this via Zoom. After we had that very first one, our club went to go clean our local food pantry, because they had been wiped out of so much food. They started to look around and go, oh my, this really needs to be cleaned. So we went there and we cleaned the entire day, cleaned up the food pantry. And so while we were there, I kind of got this idea, because they really needed more supplies, and I like to drink wine. I asked a local member of the yacht club, and he's now part of an honorary member of our club, David Judy of Riverside Liquors, to see if he would be willing to take what we do at the yacht club and do it as a fundraiser for the food pantry of Green Cove Springs. Well, in 2 weeks, we managed to put this whole fundraiser together. We had almost 200 people participate, and we raised in 2 weeks over $5,000 for the Green Cove Springs Food Pantry, which was pretty amazing for a club of about 25 people. As a matter of fact, we're doing another one tonight. Hey, we're doing a beer and cider tasting for our free dental clinic. And for all of you guys are out there today, it is World Polio Day. So we're also raising money for Polio Plus today while we're doing this. And we're going to be drinking 6 beers and 2 ciders. So if you don't have anything else to do tonight, you can let me know. We still have 10 left. So anyhow, but if you guys need some other creative ideas, our club is not huge, but we do like to do some things creatively. And we also are very, very blessed to have some very technology savvy people in our club. And then you just have crazy people like me who like to drink. But if you guys have any questions on how to do this, I've actually now done this now for a couple of different groups, where I've actually helped Quigley House, which is a group in Clay County that has a service. I've actually set it up for 3 different groups. So if there's something you're interested in, I can help you with some ideas for that. Please just let me know. Thanks so much.
Noni, could
Yes.
you also ask folks, I'm not sure if this mic is on, but ask them to put what they have done.
Oh, yes,
social
please go ahead.
service event,
Mike wants you to
that
put it up
in
on the chat.
So-
Anything of your service that you have done or creative things that you've done during COVID to be a little bit different. I'm also going to put in one plug because I haven't gone over my 3 minutes. They were talking about how speakers are so far My daughter was part of the Roosevelt group that was in lockdown and got put into quarantine for several weeks. And she was actually able to speak to 4 different Rotary clubs from Guam in quarantine. So that was kind of a very neat experience. And she's a past interactor and Rotaractor. So that was just kind of a neat experience. So when they say you can speak from anywhere, you can.
Thank you, Noni. Mike and Jeff, do we have any questions for any particular panel member or anyone here? I think we do have a question, perhaps.
Okay, we had a question. How did we coordinate the pickups? Well, we actually charged, should I come up there?
And this is for Noni, so I'm going to let her talk so I could pretend that. But yes, Noni's going to come up to talk about coordinating the wine and beer distribution.
Okay, so what we managed to do is we put in there, if people wanted to have it delivered specifically to their door, and initially they did, we charged them an extra $10 delivery fee and we broke our club out into areas. We also have a local area where people could pick up the items for free. We coordinated that with Riverside Liquors, where one of our locations in the Fleming Island area, they could just pick it up. But hey, we even delivered to our district governors and past district governors and everything else all the way down in St. Augustine, because we do like to share the joy of what we're doing with the rest of the Rotary District.
Thank you. Yes, so lots of engagement there for current club members, as well as service at the same time. It was a fundraiser for something else, so they were able to kind of get 2 things in there. So thank you, Noni, for sharing that. We've heard lots of other interesting ideas with regard to engagement and service and getting the Rotary name and brand out there, if you will. On the Rotary St. Augustine Sunrise Club had a beer and pretzel event at the business of one of their club members, kind of an Oktoberfest recently on 2 different Saturdays. It was able to be socially distanced and outside. So that's something that folks can do. Jody, I know, mentioned earlier, interesting things to keep the meetings more interesting. Not only do they engage people, but you learn about other folks in your club. So these are all great ideas. Thank you all so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. And I want to thank Mike Dara. I think my mic.
We've got another 7 minutes here.
Well, I'm gonna say thanks to Mike for gathering all these people together. He's like the little Rotary Energizer Bunny, and I appreciate him very, very much.
So that brings up, if the button is on. So are you hearing me? Thumbs up, are you seeing thumbs up? There we go, we got thumbs up. So I've got to ask you, because you were the one that's been visiting clubs, and this is not an exhaustive list, but if you had to say the clubs that if you want to see for a pretty good hybrid type meeting, which clubs would you go to visit? Because that really helps you get the sense of what that Zoom channel is like.
Yes, so I have been doing a lot of zooming into meetings in the district. Gainesville, the large Gainesville club has done a really, really good job. Matthew Brady is their president and Jenny Van Hart is in that group. They've done a nice hybrid job. West Jacksonville, they had breakout rooms prior to the meeting where we could engage in smaller groups and learn about folks and then come into the larger session, and that was very nice. Also, Fleming Island, I visited them in the beginning and had a chance to have a do-over this week, and it was amazing. It was really nice to see the growth, and one might expect that, but I could tell that they had been working on refining the experience for the, especially for the virtual platform folks. So those are 3 that I would say have done a nice job. And I've seen growth in the ones that I've had the opportunity to visit in the beginning of this process and then again later on.
So anybody can do a breakout session as long as they've got a paid Zoom subscription and as long as they go down into their settings and enable breakout rooms. But can you describe, if you're in a club that has, right now, Gainesville has between 60 and 90 people a week showing up for Zoom, and they miss that opportunity to have table talk, because when you're in there with 90 people, one person can talk before you get to the meeting. So tell me about the breakout room and what you experienced with West Jacks.
So the breakout room allowed, it was prior to the actual start of the meeting, and I was assigned to a smaller group of about 8 or 10 folks, and we were able to just chat about some people's holiday plans, talk about football starting again, and when Big Ten was going to start, when the SEC was going to start, and where different folks were from. So that allowed something similar to an in-person experience where you actually get to say, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were from Kansas, or that sort of thing. So it allowed for that personal connection prior to the start of the meeting.
And from what I understand from Patty, who actually runs those,
yes,
she decides
Patty Chapman.
beforehand, let's see, do we want 8 that I can assign people to, or 10? And as people sign on, she actually says, do you want to join a breakout room? And somebody will say, well, where's Mike? Put me into, not Mike. I should not choose that.
Not Mike's room, not
Mike's room, but put me into, oh, Bob's here? Is Bob here? Great, put me into his room. I've been meaning to ask him a question.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep it at, you got up to 10. They have
and that was
6
just to
and
get,
some,
yes.
and,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a really interesting way to do things. Now I had another question, and this is for all the panelists. If you would just go ahead, and this is a little dangerous with so many people on the screen, but speak up. Rotoractors have been a major growth area for Rotary. There is an effort to help us mine this group of Rotoractors, so as they enter that phase of their life that is kind of second phase of their career, and it's not the first phase of their career, have you found ways of involving Rotoractors so they get comfortable with Rotary? That's for our panelists. This Zoom hybrid type meeting is a great opportunity here. So, okay, so I see Marshall on the screen there. Did they choose to put Marshall on the screen?
You're so good at
Marshall,
following
did you choose
directions,
that?
Marshall.
Not sure. That was random.
Okay.
I'll speak up on that, Mike.
Okay, Jenny.
So you probably know that during my year as president, we created a special membership type for our Rotaractors so they could become full-blown members of our Rotary Club. They pay a little less in terms of fees. And so we've always encouraged them to join our meetings in person. I find that a hybrid opportunity means that they're not having to commit to those 2 hours away from the office. So they're able to jump on the call, spend an hour, and then jump off again. It's pretty empowering, and we do get attendance from our Rotaractors, not just the ones who are members of our club, and it's great.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. I'll mention one other area, an area around Sarasota, the district in Sarasota has found. They have been doing a lot of this international work, and many people internationally have wanted to join their clubs, and also some snowbirds have wanted to join their clubs, and they are now joining their clubs. It's really pretty cool. Folks that come down in December and go to their meetings are now staying as members from the north. So that's an idea for both ways to engage through Zoom and ways to grow your club. So we have one thing left to do, and that's to help you save the chat. So if you want to save the chat, it will save it on your computer. You look on the bottom right-hand side, you should find dots. So Marie, I'm looking down to you to make certain. If you looked at this, or Jeff, I'll look at you to make certain my description's good. If you're on an iPad, this may be difficult. So send me your email if you've got an iPad, and I will send it. My email address is Mike H. Darragh, D-A-R-R-A-G-H @gmail.com. I'll ask Jeff to put that in the chat for you. But look down on the bottom right-hand side, and you'll see, does it say save chat, or is it just some dots down there that you click on?
It says save chat.
It says save chat. Thank you, Marshall. So you save chat. It will ask you whether you can save it, whether Zoom can talk to your computer and be able to save things. And you'll say yes. And then that will save it. It should be in your downloads. Is that where it's going, Marshall? Marshall
let's see. I think it does go to your downloads, but
okay.
yeah.
So that will allow you to save that. And then, as I said, if you do not have that capability, whether you're on a phone or an iPad, then send me your email, and Jeff is going to be saving this chat right now, has already saved it, and I will send that out to you. So we are at 11:10. We're going to stay on time. So we have a 5-minute break, and we will come back together. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Whoa, Jim, thanks for buying 3 sets of beer. Noni is ecstatic. So, yeah. So thank you for that. And also thank you to our speakers today. Jim, Jenny, help me. I'm doing it off the top of my head.
Jim, Jenny, we've got
Nikki.
Dale, Jody, Randy, Noni,
Marshall.
Lucy. There are 2 more. Gary, and the person between Gary and Lucy was?
I already said Jody.
No, in the
it's
first,
on the first session.
in our first session.
Sorry.
But, and Mike's going to look at that. I do want to say thank you guys. We are engaging you all because we're all becoming better at this at the same time. So we don't want you to think, oh, they know how to do all of it. We're learning too, and we learn from you. We want to help you all to learn from each other. So thank you for hanging in there and for really, really making this better.
And thank you, Roseanne. You are one of my biggest go-to people. I did not mean to leave you out. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 5 minutes.